Well, first of all, this is a very, very important day for us and a great opportunity to see so many good friends. You all became part of a major family at FIU and in the College of Education, and it was indeed an opportunity and an honor and a pleasure for all of us involved in the Urban Masters program to have an opportunity to meet all of you, to share in the good times and oftentimes also the challenging times. But we all, I think, have stuck together, and we all made it, right? Wasn't that the case in the cohort? You all made it. I think it was the cohort that made it an important mechanism for all of you to, in a way, feel like a family and know that we were in this together. And hopefully many of you have experienced and accomplished many milestones as a result of graduating from the Urban Masters program. And we'll have an opportunity to listen and hear what others have done throughout the last, 15 years? Wow. 18 for some? 18, why? What's that? Because you started in 1998 or 19? Oh, you guys, cohort 1 started in 1997. Can you imagine that? And we have had 10 full cohorts. Isn't that incredible? 10 cohorts of students. So welcome to the Urban Masters Alumni Reunion. This is indeed a very special moment because I think we get to see all these wonderful pictures throughout the years. And the best part about it is that everybody looks the same. Actually younger, in my book younger. So thank you so much for coming and participating. We have a few members of the alumni of the group that are supposed to come, but they're stuck in traffic. Apparently there's been a major accident, and many of you actually had spent 2 or 3 hours on the road trying to make it. So we thank you very, very much for being here today and joining us. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to come back to FIU, but I am sure FIU is a very different place than it was, I think, 10 or 15 years ago? The growth is incredible. I'm sure you've seen many new buildings, great faculty, new faculty that we have, some of the more senior and then some of the newer faculty. So guess what? We want you to come back, and we want you to pursue another degree with us, right? How many hands for the doctorate? Look at that. Whoa. So we're going to call on you, remember. And most of us, of course, we're very proud of your many accomplishments because every time I see different teachers at events, all of a sudden I realize, wow, this is a new principal, and she's an Urban Masters program. This is a new assistant principal. This is a new district administrator. This is a new reading coach. This is a new teacher of the year. This is a new board certified teacher. So, I mean, this is a new reading coach and math coach and so on and so forth. So you are all making a significant impact in our community, in our schools, and with our children. And we thank you because the great work that you're doing is very, very evident. Give a hand to yourself because we're very, very proud of you. You know, this was indeed a labor of love on our part because, as you know, you were able to capitalize on grants that the College of Education has had throughout the years, and we were able to provide you with some tuition support, most of it. So we hope that we were able to make an impact in your lives in helping you accomplish a major goal that you had to pursue a master's degree. And we hope that that then became the start of many new things that you want to accomplish in your professional career. So we are very, know that we're very impressed with everything that you've done in your own particular endeavors. This, as you know, 10 cohorts. We started in 1998. We've had, I think, a total of maybe, and I'm going to call on Dr. Hassan, How many grants did we actually had? Maybe 5 or 6? Yeah. 11 cohorts, wow. So throughout all those grants, they're usually 5-year grants or 3-year grants. So we were able to then, start with grant and then second grant, third grant. So the more. We actually served over 260 teachers that we paid their tuition. Over 215 graduated. So it's a significant number. We actually were not able to reach many. There's like 70 teachers that are no longer employed by Miami-Dade County Public Schools, which is interesting. So by whatever reason, so I'm going to call on some of the leadership of Miami-Dade County Public Schools to see if they can help us trace some of the others. And some were not able to join us, of course, because being summer, they were actually on vacation, some have been sick, so on and so forth. So that is the reason that we have a limited number. And then 30 names are out there of people that are supposed to be coming, but because of the traffic, we have issues. But as I mentioned before, many changes in all of your lives, new marriages, a continuation of old marriages, good, which is good, new children, new grandchildren, many, many new and exciting things that, I welcome an opportunity to hear all about it, in addition to all the professional milestones that I just mentioned. And one of the major things also that I have seen recently is, and gotten to know, that some of you have actually continued your degrees and have obtained doctorates. So we've got individuals such as, Dr. Clay, Dr. Rosina Wright, Dr. Vivian Del Rio, who's out sick today. Who am I missing? Anybody else here that got her doctorate? Yes. Your name? Dr. So we have many, and we hope that we can have many more that will pursue new doctorates, and we are here to help you get that, and once again become that level of support so that we can all do it together. So as you know, there have been folks that have been very instrumental in making these cohorts a reality and helping to support its implementation. And I want to recognize those individuals, one of them being Dr. Deborah Hassan, who started with us in 1998, 1997, sorry. Wow, you're older than I thought. I'm kidding. And in 1997 with the first grant, and I think many of you had her as a professor. I think cohort 1 and cohort 2 may have, and 3 also. And as you know, I became dean. Oh, another person that has been a constant individual in terms of all the cohorts has been also Fabiola Hernandez. Fabiola has been major constant person that has been with you all the time, and has made it a possibility to help all of you and supported you. And I've been lucky to have her as a staff in all the grants that we've had. And hopefully she'll continue for years to come, although that's not what I'm hearing, so that's what I'm saying. So thank you, both Deborah and Fabiola, for being the continuation. And more recently, in the last few years, after I became dean, which happened 5 years ago, by the way, so we've all moved forward in some respect, I have had the pleasure of having Dr. Joan Nguyen being the program leader of the Urban Masters Program. Thank you, Joni, for being an incredible program leader. I know that you really exert a lot of effort in creating that family-like atmosphere with your students and all our cohorts. So I thank you for the work that you've done. And I also wanted to share the news that Dr. Nguyen has unfortunately retired from FIU as of, I think, how many weeks? May 18th. So unfortunately, we will not have Dr. Nguyen with us, but I think she's said to me that she will continue teaching at some point. And we will continue to collaborate with her because she has been a very instrumental person in a Rock of Gibraltar there for many of you, all of you. So we hope to continue capitalizing on that. Another, I think, entity that we could not have done it without them was Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And that is the reality from day one. Throughout the years, they have been a source of support for us at FIU throughout the succession of leadership. We started, of course, 15 years ago with other individuals who were very instrumental in helping us get the cohorts and implement the programs and reach all of you. And we have continued with that same source of collaboration with all of them. And today we are lucky to have Dr. Ana Rasco. Many of you may know her. She's the Assistant Superintendent for Human Capital, who I have asked her to please come and join us and say a few words on behalf of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. We also have had Dr. Maria De Armas, also Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. We've also had individuals from the Bilingual World Languages Office, some of them who have retired already, Dr. Lourdes Rovira, Betty Pereira. Some of them, have already retired, and we continue to work with the new leadership team. It is Maria de Armas could not join us. She was called to a meeting with the superintendent later in the afternoon, and unfortunately, when you're called, that's it. So it is my distinct pleasure. Before I actually ask you, I wanted to ask this kind of an event is not done easily. It requires a lot of coordination and a lot of effort on behalf of many individuals. So I want to take this opportunity to recognize not only Fabiola Hernandez, who took a major role in putting this together, but also Marilyn Vinson. And I also, she's not here now, but Patricia Vargas, who also helped from the Dean's office, all the Dean's staff. And I also want to recognize Pierre Shope, our Director of Technology, who are taking all these wonderful pictures and videos, and Andres Cantillo, also coordinator in the IT department. Thank you so much, because it could not be done without, your assistance and everyone else's. So now I want to have an opportunity to introduce, in a formal sense, Ms. Dr. Ana Rasco, who will join us and say a few words on behalf of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And I've known Dr. Rasco for a few years, definitely, and an outstanding, yes, true, an outstanding leader. Eh? No, we won't say what year. You're much younger. Dr. Ana Rasco.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And I bring greetings on behalf of Dade County Public Schools and our superintendent, Alberto Carvalho. I, too, am a graduate of Florida International University, so this is a coming home of sorts for me. But of course, as Dr. Garcia said, when I came to FIU, it was very different than it is now, but it's always a very special place for me. It's a privilege for me to take part in the recognition of so many outstanding educators who received their master's degree in urban education from this fine institution. This program is a result of one of many partnerships that Miami-Dade County Public Schools has had with Florida International University. We've had a very close working relationship for many years, and we are now enjoying a nationally recognized partnership known as ACCESS. It stands for Achieving Community Collaboration in Education and Student Success. And there are just so many different initiatives that are part of that ACCESS partnership. But this work has allowed us to align our talents, our instructional, research, and creative talents to really improve the academic success of our K-12 students, provide new opportunities for our teachers, for our educators, as well as to improve teacher effectiveness. So we really are very, very proud of the collaborative relationship that we have with Florida International. Now, as educators, we do value the importance of advanced degrees, and we understand the impact that we can have on our community as educational leaders. So I do encourage you to continue to pursue your professional growth and pursue your doctor's degree. I congratulate you because truly your individual successes and accomplishments become our collective successes and accomplishments. So without you, we could not achieve the results that we achieve with our students, and you are the educational leaders that we count on for tomorrow. So I thank you for the work that you have done, that you're doing, and that you will continue to do. Thank you, Dean Garcia, for always being so inclusive in the exchange and implementation of ideas and projects. And I can say that we truly look forward to continuing our work together to better serve the educational needs of the community of South Florida. Thank you very much.
Well, we have an exciting program for you today that I hope you all participate and enjoy. Before I move on to our next speaker in the program, I wanted to recognize a very special person who joins us today, who I think some of you may have had as a professor, and that's Dr. Oneida Paneque. Oneida participated, as an instructor in the program with many of the cohorts, and now is a professor at Miami-Dade College. That's where Oneida is. I also want to recognize today that we have the department chair, Department of Teaching and Learning, Dr. Lynn Miller, who many of you already know because you've had her as a professor in the college. She's a wonderful, wonderful professor of elementary education and reading, and historically has actually just recently received an Excellence in Teaching Award recognized by the entire university. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce in a formal sense a person who has worked with me for many, many years of my life here at FIU, and that's our new, and I'm formally saying it today because I think it becomes effective today, Dr. Deborah Hassan, our new Associate Dean for Strategic Operations and Community Engagement.
Yeah, I'm really glad that went through because I didn't know if I should come tomorrow or go to the beach. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's such a pleasure to see so many familiar faces, and it's so interesting. I was at the beginning of the program, and when we started in 1997 with the first group that Oneida and I team taught the Developing ESOL Language and Literacy course. It was really, we didn't know what it was going to be, and we didn't know what we were going to be able to accomplish and what the participants were going to be able to accomplish. And so I had the good fortune to be with the first 3 cohorts, and I taught the methods courses, and I taught the Developing Language and Literacy course, and for some of you I taught the Urban Multicultural Research Seminar. And then I left because I got my doctorate and I went to Florida State, and I was a professor there for a while, and then I took a dip outside of higher education and I went to the National Center for Family Literacy, which in many ways was coming home to how I started my career in family literacy. And when the dean became the dean, she reeled me back in. And so it's great to be back at FIU. I've been back for 4.5 years. I was gone for 10, so this campus was a shock for me. The people, the number of students we have now is just amazing. But the college continues to be I think our college is a jewel in this campus because we have fabulous faculty, we have amazing students, and we have a great administration and a wonderful leader. And so I'm very happy to see old faces, old friends. I hope we'll keep in better touch. Certainly these days it's easier to keep in touch with Facebook and Skype and phones, and I see all of us with our phones and looking at and texting and all these things. We didn't have that 16, 17 years ago when we started. It's a very different world now, and it's kind of nice to have been at the beginning and now be on the tail end. The current grant is called Creating Latino Access to a Valuable Education, the CLAVE grant. We have 3 cohorts in that grant. The last cohort is graduating now in December, and we also have some doctoral students in that grant who did their degrees in educational leadership. But that doesn't mean that we may not have grants in the future. I think it's, the dean has a lot of things on her plate. She's a very busy woman, but she's a really good grant writer. So being the person that oversees grants in the college, I'm really hoping she writes another one of these so that we can continue to provide tuition scholarships and support to teachers like you all were when you started the program. And so I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces and to meet the faces that went through the program while I was away. And I certainly hope you'll keep in touch and come back to events that we have. Homecoming is in October. And we have, we'll put you on our mailing list. So we hope to see your faces again. Thanks so much.
By the way, we'll have an opportunity to hear from our students, selected students, and we are going to open it up later to anyone who wants to say a few words related to the program and their experiences and any new things that you'd like to share. So now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Joni Wynn, Professor of Urban Education and a wonderful scholar. One of the warmest individuals I know, from the heart, really.
Well, this is so exciting to me because this was my first class at FIU was the urban ed class, and it was the beginning of an exciting journey for me. So. To say it's a pleasure to see all of you is really a understatement. It's really exciting. And it's so exciting that I stayed off the wine. I didn't drink it. But anyway, I want to say just a few words, and I want to remember that all of us in this room owe a bucket load of gratitude to 2 women for the successes of this program. First, to Dean Garcia for her vision, her design, her partnerships, the curriculum, the pedagogy, and the financial support for this program. This has been her passion for almost 20 years, and without her, this program would not exist. And second, to Miss Fabiola Hernandez for her nurturing, her cajoling, her negotiating for you as students and for us as faculty, as well as her organizing, reporting, taking care of every detail, including parking passes, class substitutions, reporting, books, schedules, travel to professional conferences, and a seemingly unending list of details, including the planning and implementing of this grand reunion. So both of them, let's salute one more time. Because of Dean Garcia's vision, this program is one of the few on campus that is driven by and dedicated to justice. This program is solidly grounded in the preamble to the U.S. Constitution's proclamation that we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. So this program is driven by the knowledge that every mother's child deserves a quality education and that teachers and schools must deliver accelerated learning instruction worthy of those children. One of my favorite activists, Brian Stevenson, the director of Equal Justice Initiative, in a recent TED Talk, said to an audience interested in innovation that it's the mind-heart connection that compels us to not just be attentive to all the bright and dazzling things, but also to the dark and difficult things. So this program has paid attention not just to the newest and most exciting of innovative technology, not just the flashy, innovative pedagogy and research that dazzles, but it has confronted and investigated the dark and the difficult of racism, poverty, sexism, homophobia. The Urban Ed program has asked its participants to critically examine the unearned power and privilege of the dominant culture that continues to exert an adverse effect on students, parents, citizens, and disenfranchised communities. So in the program, we have examined the dazzling glories of this land, the theories and research, the foundations and philosophies that are bound to our nation's dream of a great democracy. We have used our research skills to reach out beyond our academic ivory tower into the community, to learn from parents and students, churches, and community centers. Yet at the same time, we have sought to decolonize our research methods and assumptions. We have looked for the wisdom and strengths in our urban communities instead of searching for pathologies. We as a faculty and as participants have dared anyone who denigrates our youth, our parents, our schools, to join our battalion of warriors for justice and equity in our schools. Yes, we have continued to honor the dreams of the nation for a democracy that establishes justice for all. We have striven to examine the theories and research that can expand the we in the we the people to include all Black, brown, and poor children, the children of immigrants, our bilingual children, as well as their parents and communities. Yet we have not been afraid to investigate the nation's dark and difficult, bloody history of oppression against these same populations. And at every turn, we have struggled to remind ourselves of what my late friend and mentor, Asa G. Hilliard III, educator, psychologist, and historian, insisted was needed in all teacher development programs. Asa said, "Revolution, not reform, is required to release the power of teaching. Virtually all teachers possess tremendous power, which can be released given the proper exposure." But he said, we cannot get to that point by tinkering with a broken system. We must change our intellectual structures, definitions, and assumptions. Then we can release teacher power. So yes, this program has called upon the revolutionary American spirit to change our and the nation's intellectual presuppositions about teaching, research, and scholarship. We have released our teacher power. So may we all continue to use that power to balance ourselves and our students with the knowledge of both the dark and the difficult, as well as the dazzling pieces of our human journey to be free. Thank you.
Okay, it's always nice to hear straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So we have some of our graduates who want to provide some insight and perspectives as to how the degree has had an impact on them personally and professionally. And you've heard that from some people going around the room already. Thanks, Michelle. So Cindy Caldwell, who was Dombrowski in the program, unfortunately was told by her doctor that she should go nowhere today because she's sick. And so she's an instructional supervisor in the Office of Professional Development, and hopefully if we get together again, we'll be able to hear from her. So we're going to hand it over to Dr. Cynthia Clay, principal of Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary School.
Hello, everyone. It has been such a pleasure being here, seeing everyone, and I just can't believe it's been 15 years since we graduated. Well, some of us graduated. This program, I have to say, has truly been a blessing to me, as well as the students and the colleagues I've touched with the knowledge that I gained from the program. I can remember back when we were interviewing for the program, Dr. Hanson was one of the interviewers, and she looked at my paper and she said, wow, you are a busy lady, all of these things. She said, that's the kind of people we want in this program because busy people always get the job done. And we got the job done, Dr. Hanson. So I just want to say that from the program, it was truly a pleasure because as we went through the program, it didn't take to us finishing the program in order for the degree to work for us. As we went throughout the classes, what we learned, I was able to take back to my students immediately. The strategies that the teachers shared with us were very practical and we could use them in the classroom immediately. And you know, as a classroom teacher, sometimes we sit in different meetings and different things, and we don't learn as much as we thought we would or what we expect to do. But from the classes that we took, it was always something that we can take back right away. That was always something that could empower our students to be the very best that they could be. And the program not only helped as a classroom teacher, but it also helped me as I left the classroom to become a reading coach. I was able to empower my colleagues as well as students at that time, sharing the knowledge that I gained from the degree that I obtained at FIU University. And now, as I said before, I am the proud principal of Robert Ingram Elementary School, and I still have the privilege of empowering my staff as well as the students' lives that we touch each and every day. So I just want to say, and I'm sure you all share the same sentiments, the program was truly, again, a blessing to me. It allowed me to collaborate with colleagues. We don't get that enough. It allowed me to have long life friends that I met in the program, and we still know each other today, and so happy to see each other this evening. So I just want to say thank you so much to Dr. Garcia and the FIU staff for a wonderful opportunity, and I wish to have the success of the program to continue and hopefully to bring it to my school site so that my teachers are enriched as well as other teachers around the surrounding areas. Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity.
Well, one person that I have failed to recognize today, who happens to be one of our Urban Master graduates in the area of learning technologies, is Mr. Javier Olmedo. Javier is actually our president of our alumni chapter, and he's going to have an opportunity to, talk with you a little bit later in the program. And basically, you were a teacher at Coral Park Senior High, social studies teacher, right, for many years.
I heard one social studies over there.
So now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Judy. Michelle did a great job. She blew it out of the park. So basically, Judy Melendez, assistant principal for Carver Elementary.
I'm sorry, I have a really bad cold. And it just happened to be right when I came, but I heard Michelle, I don't even need to speak anymore because I heard she said everything I needed to say, right? I want to say thank you. It's great seeing a lot of my classmates and my professors. And I want to say thank you to Delia for letting me, well, actually selecting me to share my experiences with you. There's so many wonderful things to say about our cohort, which was the first one, 98. We did learn a lot, but of course, being the first cohort, we did get away with a lot of things. A lot. And we opened the doors for all of you, okay? One of the things that we got away with was convincing our professors, because Delia wasn't the dean back then. It was Delia, Debbie, and Oneida. Those were our three that always team taught. So since they were allowed to team teach, we convinced them to let us do team projects and team papers. And most of us did all of our papers together. And to this day, Michelle and I still do everything together. She helped me write the speech, so if you don't like it, you go to her. It's true. We put them through a lot, and it was rough, but they loved us, and we loved them. And it's great seeing all the pictures and the jackies, and we had so much fun. We really, really did. Unfortunately, we didn't have Fabiola in 98. Man, we would have gotten away with so much more if you were around. You could have helped us. You would have been part of the team. Well, I heard Michelle said so many great things. I love her. It was, we became friends very first day. We sat next to each other in the auditorium. I burned a hole in her car with my cigarette, which I don't smoke anymore, so that's a good thing, right? Well, in all seriousness, I earned my master's in 98, and I continued my career as a fifth grade teacher at Coral Way Elementary. It's a bilingual, the bilingual K through 8 center. It was a dropout intervention program with McDania Vega. I did 1 year. Later, I was a reading coach for a curriculum support specialist for the Reading and Language Arts Department. And because of my degree, my role was to impact student learning in low-performing schools of high ESOL and special ed populations. And I was very fortunate to work with great teachers, and I provided teachers with effective strategies as well as professional development. Excuse me. During this time, I utilized my position to instill the knowledge I gained to ensure that all teachers implemented the research-based strategies that I learned here at the program to enhance student learning. The Urban Masters program afforded me and all of us a strong foundation to work with ESOL students and to assist them all in all of their learning needs. The following year, I was promoted to assistant principal at Naranja Elementary. And did I mention, because at the same time that I was doing my master's here at FIU, I was also getting my specialist degree at Nova. So I was taking 2 classes with Delia and 2 classes at Nova. And I was a single mom raising my adorable 4-year-old, who is now 21. And he just got accepted to FIU, so he too is a Panther, following in mommy's steps. And I was working on the two degrees at the same time. It was rough. I thought at the end of it I'd all end up in Bellevue, but I got through it and they all put up with me. Anybody watch Law and Order? That's Bellevue, okay. Currently I'm an assistant principal at the best kept secret in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, Little Carver Elementary. It's a great little school in Coral Gables, right outside of Coconut Grove. And for the past 15 years, my heart, my drive, my desire has always been to work with ESOL students and special ed students. And I think that's one of the things that makes me a great leader, because I do love my special ed and my ESOL students, and I do a lot for them. You know, parents are the best advocate. Well, I'm their best advocate as well because I do a lot for them. And Ms. Fernandez will testify that for me because I do love my kids. Once again, I just want to close out. The Urban Masters had a big impact in my professional career. I often refer to what I learned in the program to the teachers, all my strategies. So as I reflect on how the Urban Masters program has impacted me, I can only concede that it provided me with unyielding awareness as to how students learn. Delia, I want to thank you for selecting me to participate in the 1996 program. It was truly, truly a pleasure to to learn from you, Debbie, and Oneida. I do want to thank you very much.
Well, we were just joined by another of our graduates, and he's going to have an opportunity to talk a little bit later. But we just, Paul, we went around and we said, you know, what we were doing right now. So if you just want to say a minute to introduce yourself, because we did that with everyone. He's been dealing with traffic, the major accident that occurred. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Now, my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Elaine Rampersad.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to be here. I'm delighted to be among all these wonderful people. Before I continue, I'd like to say thank you to Brian over there for hydrating us or dehydrating us. I am part of the cohort 5, and my peeps are back there. I'd like to begin to say congratulations to Dr. Garcia on her promotion as a dean. It's 5 years old, but all of that is still fresh. And congratulations to Dr. Debbie Hassan on her promotion. I met her in 1997 or 1998. I was a bachelor's student at that time. And Debbie was in the Urban Masters program, and she talked about it. And at that time, I said, this is something that I want to do. And back in the day when we didn't have emails and memos will be placed in our mailboxes, I got a memo for the Urban Masters program. However, the memo wasn't supposed to go to Dante Fasella Elementary School. And I kept calling over and over and over. When is it they're going to send further information about this program? And I was told that Dante Fasella wasn't on the list. And persistent me got a chance to speak with Dr. Garcia. And I said to her, I have the paper. And she said, where is it? And I said, it's in my classroom, but I will call the after-school care leader and I will get information and read it to you. So I hung up the phone, no cell phone at that time, and I called my classroom and the after-school care leader. I said, read to me what's on that paper. It's very important. She read it to me. I took notes. I called Dr. Garcia and I said, this is what the paper said. I was invited to the interview, and I visualized myself being accepted. And the rest is history, as they say. My bachelor's program was a challenge because you really want to get through the program so you can get a job. But my master's program was fabulous as Fabiola. It was fun, it was enlightening. I learned a lot. My life has been impacted both personally and professionally. You know, in a bachelor's program, we're doing our labs and doing these simulated teaching. In the master's program, we're writing papers, and thanks to the previous speaker, Ms. Melendez, we did teamwork, we did team papers, we did team presentations, so we want to thank you for that. And let me digress for a moment. Michelle, how did you manage to be the friend of your boss, your assistant principal? You said she was your assistant principal at one time.
It was the weirdest thing. It was so funny. I was in New Jersey, and I had left Little Harbor 3 years before, and it was so funny. I was on my iPad, and I changed my password. Do you want to know what password I put?
I guess her name.
Little Harbor's school.
I see. Well, let me come back. Well, let me come back to where I am before I lose the thought, but let's see if I can bring it back. I digressed on purpose, just to see if I can test myself here. Anyway, so being in cohort 5 was a lot of fun. I grew personally and professionally. And we did a lot of presentations. And those presentations groomed me for this aspect of my life, for standing in front of a group of peers and to share my thoughts. Because you and I know that speaking in front of a group of peers and your professors and those above you is perhaps one of the most difficult things that you can do. So I want to thank my cohort 5 for enabling this and nurturing this part of me. So that's how one of the ways the Urban Masters program has impacted me. In the classroom, one word I can say is, many words, but one I'll speak about is empathy. Because the Urban Masters program has taught me that all children can learn and all children will learn. And I believe Dr. Wynn left. But I want to thank her and her team, Dr. Lisa Delpit, and the rest of wonderful professors I've had in the master's program who helped me to be the professional I am today. And I took some notes while Dr. Garcia was speaking, so I want to talk about that a little bit. She talked about change. And yes, we all look younger. Right, Rose? Rose looks fabulous. FIU has changed so much that I couldn't find a blue garage that I was supposed to park for free. So I parked in a metered parking, $2.75. I don't expect a reimbursement. However, if I get a ticket, I'll submit it to Fabiola and she'll wipe it off. That's what Marilyn told me. And Marilyn said, I'll remember her name if I think of Marilyn Monroe. Christian with a Y. He's the latest addition. He was one of the first people I met here, so thank you for bringing me in here. I am fortunate to be part of the 215 graduates of the Urban Masters program. 260, you said, applied and you paid for. We're the lucky 215. Oneida Paneke. I didn't recognize her name or her face until that's because she looked so much younger. Someone mentioned her name, and I must tell you that I had a great time learning experience in your class. Just 2 weeks ago, I put away my Kala handbook. Had it on my bookshelf, and I said, with technology in place, I can find everything on the internet. I'll put this book away in a box, but I wouldn't part with my books. I wouldn't toss them away. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed to be part of FIU's 50th anniversary. Correct, Dr. Garcia? So, mark it down in history, our reunion happened during the year of FIU's 50th celebration. I thank you for putting up with a long-winded conversation. I call it a conversation because we did interact with each other, body language, and even Michelle, I digressed a little. Dr. Lynn Miller, I must say this, I didn't have you as a professor, but you haven't changed at all. Yes, you are a rock at FIU. And I know my direct boss isn't here, as in my principal, but the boss of my boss of my boss of my boss, they're here. So, Dade County Public Schools, I'm proud to be working with Dade County Public Schools. And Dr. Garcia, I know you're a fabulous grant writer. When you write that grant for the other program, the scholarship program for the PhD, you've got my number, you have my email. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Next in our program is Mr. Paul Wilson, Administrative Director for Miami-Dade County Public Schools School Operations.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of like old times, being one of only 2 males on the program, because I was one of only 2 males in my cohort, and the other one's back there, Juan, a good friend of mine, and being amongst 30 some odd women, Gabby and Yvette and Pierre Marie and Marilyn and the rest of them, wasn't always easy for Wanki and I, but we made it work, being the sources of testosterone, we made it work. I just, I'm really happy to be here, and about 47 times I thought about turning around because the traffic was so horrible. But I just thought back to the days when half of this campus didn't even exist, and we were tucked off back in the education building with some wonderful professors, Dr. Nguyen and Dr. Erskine and Dr. Dwyer and who am I missing? Ah, yes, Dr. Castillo. And even, and I know I might get kicked out for saying this, but even Dr. Alvarez, who at the time we learned a lot from Dr. Alvarez, but the good, the bad, the indifferent. Either way, I can say that this program definitely informed me and let me know that everything that I thought I knew about the population of students that I was representing at the time, I knew nothing. This program not only impacted me as a school teacher and an administrator, but also as a man. And I thank Dr. Garcia. I think back to our interview, and I think she was more happy that she had a man sitting in front of her that actually was interested in doing this program than the actual interview questions themselves. But I was very happy with you allowing me to be a part of this program. And it has definitely changed the way that I view the work that many of you still do and the work that we do every single day. Now, this was during a time when the only people that knew urban education were those people living in the urban core. And it was a foreign concept. And I remember thinking, like, okay, the professors at FIU are going to teach me how to deal with urban students. Okay. But turns out, yes, the teachers at FIU did teach me how to deal with urban students. And the one thing that I walked away with it was this family type of environment. Even at this a university of this size, that cohort stuck together. I mean, we did collaborative learning as well, as the speaker before me spoke about. But we also supported each other through thick and thin. And as the numbers started to dwindle, I'm sure that happened in every cohort, and people started to remove themselves because life was getting in the way or whatever was getting in the way. We always made sure to try to encourage those individuals to stick it out. You know, a couple more classes. You know, once we're done with these 3, and we got another 3, and then another 3, but we're gonna get through them. Don't worry about it. We'll support you through this mission, because it was such a wonderful opportunity. And I don't think, I mean, I've seen Dr. Garcia a number of times since I graduated. And I think what amazes me the most is that she remembers my name, first of all, but that she always has this radiant smile on her face like she has right now. And I just have to thank you. I don't think I've thanked you enough. And I don't think thank you is enough for such a wonderful opportunity. You know, us being school teachers that honestly couldn't afford to put ourselves through school at that time, you know, and you giving us the opportunity, I mean, all expenses covered, even down to the parking decal, was a blessing, ma'am. And I truly appreciate you. And on behalf of Cohort 7, I'd just like to say thank you once again, even though it's been a long time, you know, and you've done it over and over again. I'm sure that each cohort was special to you and left a special mark for you. And Dr. Nguyen was here and she walked out. I wanted to pick at her because I remember the first time Dr. Nguyen said, "We will have class at my house." And I remember thinking, I was talking to Wonky and I said, "Is that legal? Can we really have class at her house?" And I'm like, okay, she's about to allow our rambunctious group to come into her home, okay? And we would go there and she would have food, not like catered food, but homemade food. And we would sit around the pool and the nice little area she had in the back. And I remember the first day, we were like, we're not gonna get any work done. But those conversations and those think tanks and us being in that type of environment, you know, laid back, outside of the classroom environment, I think garnered more real conversation than anything else. And life lessons, you know, Dr. Nguyen is full of wonderful anecdotes and stories, and she would sit around and tell us that. And I can't really remember what the hours of class were at that time, but I do remember we never ended when we were supposed to. We always went over. She would have to kick us out of her home because we felt so comfortable there. And I think that type of environment was created in every one of our classes because they knew that we were a family and they knew that we had to stick together. Even Dr. Erskine, who was probably one of the more rigid professors that we came across, and he was teaching one of the more difficult subjects, educational philosophy, at the time, and he was this large, stout man with this deep radio voice, and he would get up and he would start to pontificate about this and this philosopher, and we would definitely have some moments where we needed to elbow each other and, you know, wake each other up in that particular class. But overall, through and through, the experience here, as I stated earlier, definitely shaped my view of what an urban child was, and more importantly, how to deal with that child. The circumstances that come, the baggage that comes, the basic needs that may have not been met, and to meet them where they are. If I wanted to penetrate their minds, to meet them where they are. And I think that's what I walked away with. And I remember when we came to the end of the program, it was a bittersweet moment. You know, we were done, but we were done, you know, and we just thought about all the fun that we had and the wonderful lifelong friendships that were created and relationships that still are alive today. And I'm sure all of you had that same experience in your cohort. And I just can't thank Dr. Garcia and FIU for being so smart, number one, to pick all of us. So you had to be smart to pick us. Because we're the best of the best. I mean, that's what it is. And how many total cohorts did you do? How many total? 10. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So, we're still going. Oh, that makes my heart feel even much better that you're still changing the lives of young educators every single day, as we all knew. And we knew you were destined for greatness, man. We knew something about you was special. So I just want to co-sign the young lady before me who talked about the doctor's urban masters program that you want to do. Remember? We talked about, yeah, okay. So just keep me on that list because we'll be right back to support you again, ma'am. Thank you very much.
As you can see, Dr. Rasco, we picked the best of the best. We are so proud to have all of them. And now, our last speaker, but certainly, not the least, is Dr. Rosina Wright from Linda Linton K-8 Center.
Good evening, everyone. Let me just start by saying that I'm very long-winded, but I won't do it to you today. You should say thank you. You're welcome. I will start by just saying as well, thank you so much, Dr. Garcia. I don't even know where to begin with. I call her Dahlia all the time, no disrespect, but I call her all the time, talking to her about different things that I'm aspiring to do. I will start by saying that I found out about the Urban Masters program through my principal, Mrs. Agenor Pascal Powell. She called me into her office because she wanted to do some fabulous things there at Linda Linton, and she wanted someone to spearhead some activities out there at Linda Linton. So she called Rosina down to the office, and I can tell when something is going on with my principal because sometimes she kind of probe you a little bit. She'll say, okay, well, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. You don't know what your principal's going to say to you, so you're like, okay, you kind of reserved. You want to listen first. She said, I'm all right. She said, okay, so I want to talk to you about something that I'm trying to do here at Linda Linton, and I knew something was going on when she says that, because whenever Agenoria says, I want to talk to you about something that we want to do at Linda Linton, it's going to be a couple of years in the making, and I didn't know that it was going to be a personal plight. I appreciate Mrs. Powell for one thing, and I know this has nothing to do with FIU and the Urban Masters, but it has everything to do with it. She has always aspired, or she has always encouraged me to do my absolute best with whatever I'm going to do, and she knew that if she asked me to take on a task, it was nothing that I wouldn't do to ensure that I gave it my 110% best. So when I came for my interview with Dahlia Garcia, Dr. Garcia at that time, I kind of sat back and looked at Dr. Garcia and was listening to everything she was saying. And I kind of got lost in her words with the way she was explaining the program and what it was all about. And I said, okay, that's what Ms. Powell said. You know, in my mind, that's what Ms. Powell said. Okay, this is how we can use this. So I was sitting taking notes while she was trying to interview me. I'm taking notes to figure out whether or not what my principal is looking for is this program going to actually do it. And it did. It did. I want to digress just a moment because everyone has told their stories, but there's nothing like that cohort number 5. We do thank all of you all oldies but goodies for paving the way. Thank you so much because we enjoyed all of our group experiences. Some of it came with so much joy and others with just tears because it is an urban master's program and it is multiculturalism at its best. We sat down and we learned about different cultures just by communicating with one another. We recognized the hardships of some of our cultures. We recognized the urgency to get educated in certain cultures. We recognize that if we were going to accomplish anything, we would have to accomplish it together. And we recognize all of that at Florida International University through the Urban Education Master's Program. So Dahlia, let me tell you, you couldn't get enough applause, but I want to pause for the cause because you are an awesome lady. We appreciate you. That's that cohort 5. Aside from that, Dahlia sat down. Again, you all, I love my Dahlia. So she's Dahlia to me. She's always doctor, professional world, but it's a personal thing. She sat down and she picked a certain set of teachers for us. And I said, maybe the lady recognized all of us. You know, God has a divine purpose for us all. And within that divine purpose, he puts people in your life. Madia couldn't have said it better. You know, people come into your life for a reason, season, and a lifetime. She said it a little bit more funny. You can laugh if you like. Okay, so, but Dahlia did something for us that no one else, well, for me, that no one else had ever done, because if you knew my past, if you knew my story, you would understand why I give so much accolades to the individuals that come into my life and why I appreciate you all. You are golden to me. You are absolutely golden to me. This young lady, fresh out of the mountains of White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, coming to Miami, Florida, not knowing anything, never seen a building before in my life. All we ever saw was mountains, and everybody around us was family. So when we got here, you know, we were like, it was a struggle. It was a real struggle. We came up the very rough side of the road, but I was always introduced to people who would bring so much fortune to my life. So this program caused me to really dig deep on the inside of myself and see something outside of me, because I've always been a sheltered child. So I've only seen my family, my family on the inside. Dahlia, you've allowed me to see family outside of my culture. You've allowed me to see family in my classroom. I don't even let my children come into my classroom without them knowing that I am mama, and you will not disrespect me. I will treat you like my child, and I will expect that you are fully educated at the end of the year, and I can exhale at the end of the year because I have done my absolute best. Dahlia, right after the program, let me tell you, I went back to the school. So my principal, she always puts you to the test. She says, well, what did you learn? So I had to get a little proposal together, and I had to put some stuff together. So we did this big multicultural thing at the school where I had a little Philippine girl in my classroom. Her mother went out of the way. I got me a Philippine garb. It was awesome. So you've impacted me in a positive manner, and I still try to do the multicultural thing at my school at this present moment. I am so saddened by the fact that one of the most fabulous professors that I've ever had has exited the building. Dr. Joan Wynn, I call her my Joni. When I first met Joni, she was sitting on the top of the desk with her legs folded as if she was about to start a yoga class. And she went on to tell us that we were going to learn a lot in this classroom, and we were tired already. We were like, oh, God, have mercy in the name of Jesus. We just started praying for Joni. So we was like, oh, Lord, and we started looking at, you know how classmates do, we just started looking at each other like, oh, God, have mercy, she gonna do it, she gonna do it. Joni sat up there and she told us about her history and how her mom and where she comes from, and then she started talking African stuff, and we were like, yeah, okay, here we go. Joni opened up doors for us. Dr. Asa Hilliard came down that year. She really pulled out all of the stops. I don't know if his name was Fernandez or Hernandez. Dr. Hernandez came down and he talked to us over at the North Campus, and Dr. Asa Hilliard had this big old screen of Africa, and he went through Africa with us and told us about our roots, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. We had to do a report on that. Dr. Dwyer made us, he blindfolded us. Did he blindfold y'all? He blindfolded us and made us, and we didn't know what in the world he was trying to do. So he said, you have to trust. I said, trust who? We can't see anybody. You blindfolded us. We had to stand and fall backwards with a blindfold and trust the person behind you to catch you. And I was like, well, that has to do with the lesson. He said, this is what happens when the children walk into your classroom. They're actually blindfolded, and they must trust you, and you must trust them. So I walked away with a whole bunch, Delia. Last but not least, you cannot overlook. She's the mama. She is the, y'all know who I'm talking about? Yes, Fabiola, that's my Fabby. Fabiola, she knows when I call, she says, Dr. Wright, and as soon as I walk through the door, what did Fabiola say? Rosina, come here, I want to talk to you for a minute. I tried to get in touch with you. Did you know? We want you to speak. And I was like, oh, it's nice. I love a microphone. Okay, I can do this, girl. So Fabi, Delia, and all of my professors, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart to the very tippy top, you have filled me with so much richness, and I so deeply appreciate you. To God be the glory for the things that he allows.
I think I will use my brief time to invite you to go over there before they take the cake away and enjoy a little sweet taste before we all have to leave this room. So please go ahead and enjoy some of our cake. And I just want to say that I'm very, very happy that I was able to reach out to some of you. It was fun but challenging because some of you decided to change your names, change your schools, change your positions. But now, hopefully with the information that we gathered today, we'll be able to be in touch for future activities. So welcome back and enjoy the cake. Bye.